What's up, guys? Welcome to Blue Presents a podcast where I discuss all things music. And today I have my good friends from Devil Inside, man. We had a crazy weekend. So basically, just to kind of give you a behind the scenes on what happened. For the last few months, we've been trying to figure out whether or not we can put together a reunion show. And in true Devil Inside fashion, it ended up coming together with, like, I want to say a month to 3 weeks left, basically, on whether or not we could do or die. So we ended up doing it, and, you know, we practiced, and then we recorded this podcast. But as far as the weekend went really, really well. We had a great turnout, and I appreciate everyone who came out to support us and support the other bands. Shout out to On Your Deathbed, shout out to Dread These Days, and one last shout out to The Mighty Fall. If you don't know any of those bands, go check those dudes out. Those dudes are really, really great musicians that play kick-ass metal, and it was just fun to play a show with those guys. But needless to say, today's episode is just focusing on the members of Devil Inside, how it came to be, and we kind of get into a few, stories here and there about our time in Devil Inside, and then as well as we kind of talk about how each one of us kind of joined. So sit back, relax. Once again, if you are interested in being on my show, or just, you want to give me some advice, or maybe you want to review it, please check me out. Twitter, Podcast of Blue, Facebook, Instagram, Blue Presents a Podcast. Thank you guys. Sit back and enjoy this episode. What's up, guys? Welcome to Blue Presents a podcast where I discuss all things music. And today, I am joined by a couch full of members of Devil Inside. We've got Steve, Tom, Josh, and the main man on the drums, Ray. So, I'm going to start with my first question. Steve's already looking at me with that face. Top 5 albums, top 5 bands.
All right. Top 5 bands, that's fairly easy. Be Metallica, Killswitch, Parkway Drive, Slipknot, and it's kind of a toss-up. The last one's kind of a toss-up. Times of Grace, but it's kind of like Killswitch.
Yeah, it's essentially, Jesse and Adam.
Yeah, so Woven War, Unearth. Tom got me into those, and
okay,
pretty sweet.
Go ahead, Tom.
Hi.
Hi, Tom.
This is the simplest, hardest question ever.
Exactly.
And it's for me because I'm super critical of everybody. Because everybody sucks if they're not in this band.
Okay.
But for me, honestly, it's and I hate to be cliche, but Metallica, Master of Puppets, that's what started everything until I discovered the End of Heartache from Killswitch Engage, and that kind of ruined my life.
I was going to say, I think you wrote a whole album about that.
That set the bar so high, and ever since then, it took a long time for anything to be good. And still, but then there's the whole, just that whole 2004, 2006, anything, All That Remains, the Overcome albums, disgusting. Yeah. I know a lot of people are like, I don't support Esley dying because of Tim. I don't give a fuck. Esley dying's fucking disgusting.
I am one of those people who are in that camp.
All right, well, hey, you know what? The new record that they dropped last year is fucking disgusting.
It's so good.
Right.
The one song I did hear is it's actually pretty good. It's just, I don't know. I just have a thing about that. I don't really support that, cool. But whatever. But, anyways, we'll skip that part.
But, bro, yeah, exactly. Parkway Drive, and really all the older stuff, Boneyards.
Yes.
All that shit. This is really fucking tough.
Exactly.
I think one that doesn't really go, or an artist that doesn't go really noticed at all, is a band called Seosin.
Woo! Wow, yeah,
they got some good shit.
No, a lot of people, actually I was watching a video one time where it was just kind of explaining the metalcore, post-hardcore influence of Seosin. And it's actually pretty fucking deep, so a lot of people don't realize that. So we're going to skip Josh, because Josh has been on my show before.
No, I'm just kidding.
It's like, oh, shit, he's fucking up already. And we are going to go to my main man, Ray. Ray, give it to me, brother.
Hey, number one, let's see. For metal, I would have to say Ocean's 8 Alaska.
Okay, I see you on that one.
Get a little heavier, Thy Art Is Murder. Get a little more heavy, Oceano. how many is that? 3?
Blue's getting like, he's just like,
Yeah. This sounds like a rain.
I can hear his head nod. Like, that's how severe it is.
Oh, God.
But then I have to also say, like, Veil of Maya.
Okay.
And Architects.
Okay. You know what I'm surprised you didn't say? Bob Marley.
Yeah, man.
So real quick, guys, before we get deeper into this podcast, this is going to be like any other podcast I have done because I've got so many of them in a room and I'm not using the usual equipment that I'm using, but we're going to get through this. So basically the gist of my podcast is talking about the musical journey. And today we're just going to talk about how Devil Inside got started. So this question is basically for Stephen Tom.
Steve, Tom. We talk as one.
Officer Teve.
We are Teve. Teve and Stom.
Yeah, Teve and Tom. Yeah, Teve and Tom. Teve and Tom. That sounds like a new hallucinogenic. Teve and Tom.
Stom.
So Steve and Tom, just kind of explain how Devil Inside got started, and we'll go from there.
A Craigslist advert.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes. God's honest truth.
Yeah.
Did you reply to me?
I replied to you.
Yes.
Yeah, I saved you.
Yes.
So question, was it in Men Seeking Men?
For anybody, because you all that are listening to this can't see that Steve, Tom, and I are draped across each other on this couch right now.
I'm just saying,
couch.
it is a couch
is very
of man
warm.
love.
It was actually in a Men Seeking Other.
That way we can cross level to the next category.
Pre-op, post-op, it doesn't matter.
Exactly. Anyways, we're getting into a subject. We're getting into a subject that's in the weeds there. But so basically a Craigslist ad, and how did it go from there? What was it? Was it guitarists looking for other lonely guitarists?
No, it was. I replied to an ad where it was Steve and another drummer named Brian. Was it Brian? Not important. But,
Not important.
But yeah, so I responded to the ad, and something happened, right?
Yeah, you had like some family matter come up. And
Family Matters, yeah.
And I didn't hear from you for, I don't know, like we were supposed to meet up, and then you said I think you texted me and was like, hey, I can't meet up, this and that, I'll text you back or something like that. And I was like, all right. And then like a couple weeks went by, I didn't hear nothing, and all of a sudden you texted me out of the blue one day, and I was like, the whole time I'm like, I'll never hear back.
Fuck this guy. Typical fucking Craigslist.
What an asshole, yeah.
I think you sent me some, like a couple of tracks of stuff you were just noodling around with, and then that's when you ended up coming down. And it was weird because like you came down, we unloaded your gear, we kind of messed around a little bit, and then I remember like 2 hours into us first meeting, it was just weird because it was like I felt like I had known you for years already at that point, and just kind of clicked and got along really well, and then found out like we were into all the same kind of stuff, and so it ended up working out really well.
So basically, Tom, how did you feel when you like first met with Steve and this Brian character who we're not going to talk any further about?
Well, yeah, I wasn't so sure about Brian.
Yeah.
But it was kind of weird because it's like that weird familiarity that you have with somebody, but you don't know them, but you're like, no, there's
something there.
There's something.
No, for real. Like
at a gas station or something.
It's actually really funny because I remember when I first saw you guys play, and I was just like, wow, these guys are like super hella talented. And then the next time I saw you, I went up to my wife and was just like, listen, these guys are going to ask me to be in their band.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But anyways, so what was the general idea you guys were going for when you guys first started? Was it being metalcore? Was it just being metal? Were you guys trying to figure out what kind of sound you were going for? Or did you guys both have an idea? Okay, this is the direction we want to go.
I think Steve and I had an idea of where we wanted to go, and Brian, I'll never forget this. We were kind of in the process of noodling around with some riffs and trying to, form some songs together. And in between, we were not doing covers, but we were showing Brian, hey, this is kind of the stuff we're listening to. And I believe around that time was when the Grey Chapter dropped. Around that, was that from Slipknot? And we were like, hey, so Brian, check this out. Listen to the drums. This is kind of the where we want to go. And I'll never forget, Brian didn't say it to me, but he said it to Steve. He goes, well, if Tom wants me to play that, that's not going to happen. And kind of from there, things deteriorated really quickly.
Okay.
Or dissolved, whatever you want to.
Mm-hmm.
It got super awkward really fast. And I think at that point we had like a small little riff bag with like, you know, a thrown together song and... No. I don't know. I don't know if I'm missing anything. I might be jumping around a little bit, but
no, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. So basically, from some of the videos I saw from like when you guys first started, it kind of looked like you guys went like full gun blaze. How did you guys get the lineup together? And then Steve, talk about the in-home studio project. Because I came across that video and I was like, oh shit, now I get why that room looked the way it did.
The lineup was a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
Because I think it was every couple of weeks, like, yeah, he's a nice guy. Nope.
Yeah, it's like we'd have people come in, they'd send us samples of something and be like, maybe we can make this work. You know, maybe, you know, it sounds pretty good. Then they would come in and it would just sound nothing like the samples they would send us. And just decide, like,
we were catfished.
No, this is catfished. This is some bullshit.
This is real life catfish.
It's like, wow, you sound
okay.
Not a fucking thing.
Exactly.
Here we are.
So, like, I saw the in-home studio project. What made you guys go that gun-ho, like, right off the rip, that you wanted to install a studio in your home?
So, it was actually the first day where Tom and I met. He came down to my house, and then we walked over to the garage, because I kind of spit the idea of, like, hey, I want to build a studio over here. And he's like, oh, yeah, okay. We couldn't even get into the garage the first day, because there was so much ice in front of the door. Remember that? We were, like, looking through the window.
You just park in front of the door and you go out an hour later and the car's in the middle of the driveway.
Yeah. So I, he was like, oh, yeah, that'd be cool. Granted, he just met me, so he's like, yeah, this dude's full of shit, whatever.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, great, yeah, cool. Everybody wants to fucking do something like that. Well, I just so happen to have this massive space in the garage. And so I don't know, we messed around for a little bit, and then I think I, like, texted Tom saying something like, hey, you want to give me a hand out when I go to Home Depot? He's like, yeah, for what? I'm like, I'm going to build the studio. He's like, oh, okay. And next thing you know, like, a few hours later, we're putting a floor together for it.
Wow.
And,
we were always very impulsive.
Oh, yeah.
We'd get an idea and immediately Home Depot and get started on it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so, we wanted a place where we could play where nobody was going to bother us. We could play as loud, as late, and whenever we wanted, with nobody saying, oh, you're being loud or whatever. So we kind of just winged it at first. It was like, oh, let's do this. And we went and got some lumber. And then, all right, we're done now. Now what? Well, let's go get more lumber.
Yeah,
all right,
let's get more
now
lumber.
what do we need? Oh, let's go get some, electrical shit. And then let's go get this. Let's go get this. And then we just kept going and going and going. And next thing you know, like, we didn't play for weeks.
Yeah.
Like, the whole thing is like, oh, let's start a band. We're gonna start playing together. And then we went like weeks, if not a month or two, without playing because we ended up basically building this room, and we started playing in there before we even had a floor down, before we even had paint up and everything. Like,
it was like a mental room because it was all white from the sheetrock.
Oh my
It
god,
was
that's
crazy.
hilarious.
oh yeah, the drum playing on our drummer at the time, who I don't even remember who it was, starts playing, and there's like sheetrock dust floating around.
Oh my god,
Oh,
yeah,
it's
this like
insane.
shaking the walls and shit.
Yeah, so
That's crazy. No, I think it's cool because, to be honest with you, when you walk into your garage, I was not expecting to walk into a room that nice.
Nobody-
Because I was just like, I was like, what the hell is this? Everything's like rusted out here. There's bikes and truck parts and shit. And then you walk in and it's like, oh wow, look at that. There's an AC in this room. And everything looks really fucking nice.
Yeah, there was also a piano.
Yeah, the grand piano. Oh my god, that shit kills me every
That
time.
sucked, by the way. I almost lost a leg getting that thing in there.
The practice space